Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management, a weekly conversation with area leaders about how to persevere during uncertain times. Now here's your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, and welcome to Forward Ever. We talk many times about leading during challenging times, but sometimes those challenging times are very individual. And our guest today is Shauna Zweifel, who is the middle school middle school assistant principal, but she's also a kidney donor. And that's a big story. Shauna, good to have you on our program today.
Thank you.
You know, I just want to ask a couple of quick questions. There are people that don't know about being able to donate a kidney. Had you ever thought about that before you got into this project?
I really hadn't. I know there's people that do it, and it just so happened that somebody I knew needed one, and it went through the process. And it's surprising now to find out how many people actually have a tie to some sort of donation, whether it be a liver or a kidney, or I've just since the donation, I've had lots of people come up to me and say, "Hey, I did that too," or it's just kind of amazing that the stories you hear after that.
It can be a life-saving experience for someone because you have to find a special match. We'll talk about some of the details. But when you do this and you talk to these other people, there's just this sigh of relief from the people that are the recipients and also from those that are giving. Has that been a part of your process, just that ability to feel good about this?
Yeah, it has, and definitely seeing Megan just do so well afterwards has been a great feeling. And we actually have another person in the district that just donated a year ago. And so she's kind of been my go-to person for the healing process for me, and just saying, "Hey, is this normal? Is this how you felt?" kind of thing. And so that's been a nice feeling too, knowing that there's other people there that I can talk to that have been through similar circumstances. So.
Well, let's talk about you. How do you feel right now? Once you go through it's a surgery like anything, but they remove the kidney. What do you feel like?
I feel really good right now. We're about 8 weeks out from surgery. And I really feel really good. I'm doing most of the things that I was doing before. They did say it may take a while for energy level to come back, but last week was my first full week of school, and I thought that was going to really be the test, and it went really well. And I can't say that I was more tired than I have been. So it actually it's gone really well.
Well, you're a high energy person anyway, so that part of it I'm sure helps. But there is a part of the physical aspect of that I know takes some time to heal up. Is that a year-long process to get all the healing done, or is that basically already healed up?
The first 2 weeks were pretty rough. They were really tough, and then it just kind of gradually got easier. But I would say, I mean, as far as what the doctors have told me, I don't have any restrictions right now. Most of my restrictions were through 6 weeks after surgery. And then, but I mean, obviously I'm not going to go lifting a 60-pound bag of something. That would probably not be the smartest thing. But I just feel like I feel pretty much back to normal. They haven't given me any restrictions as far as limits on weight or anything like that past the 6 weeks.
Well, that's when you see that, it's like, okay, would I do that for somebody else if I knew? And somebody may be watching or listening to this going, what a great gift to give someone. And how did you get to know Megan?
So she's a teacher at the middle school, and she's been here. I don't know that I should probably guess, but probably 4 or 5 years. I'm not exactly sure. So not been here real long, but definitely been an instrumental part of the middle school staff. And so she became sick a couple years ago, and she has a condition before that, kind of an ongoing thing, but this time it just really deteriorated her kidneys. And so she was in the hospital for a while, and then it came back that she was going to need a kidney donation.
So when you walk down the hallway, you know Megan, you I believe grew up with her as well. But you walk down the hall. Does it feel weird to know that part of you is a kidney is over in another teacher? That has to feel overwhelmingly
It's
good.
it's a little weird, but she is actually not back at school yet.
Okay.
But my 2-week checkup, had to go back down to KU Med, and she had an appointment at the same time. And so we were in the waiting room together and visiting. And so that was kind of cool, because it was a little bit weird thinking, man, like something that was inside me is now inside you. But I mean, hey, it's amazing what doctors can do. So
It is. What was your scariest time?
you know, I don't know if it was necessarily scary. I have a lot of belief in, if something is meant to happen, it will happen. And so I kind of went into the whole testing process thinking, okay, I don't know if I really want to do this, but if I am a match, then I know that it was meant to happen. And so I don't know that I really had a scary time, because it was just amazing how many people are, both Megan's church and the church I go to, both were just huge in saying, we're going to pray for you, and we're going to do all these things, and we're going to get meals for you afterwards. And so I really feel like that was probably where the peace came from, because I didn't have any super scary moments. Now, I will tell you that I have not had major surgery before. And so that was probably a good thing and a bad thing, because I didn't know what recovery was going to be like. And
Recovery tends to be harder. That's
it,
if I
it,
found
it
out
was,
in my case is that, it's not the surgery. That's fine. You're out of it, but the recovery part takes some time.
yes. And it was harder than I had pictured in my head, but I didn't really have anything to go off of. I didn't have any experience before that.
So when you talk about tests at KU, what all is involved to make sure that the kidney is fit? Because you don't want to make and go through all of this and then turn around and something doesn't work right. So I know they
Right.
go through extensive tests. How many tests? What are the tests like? Is it hard to do that?
So there's a lot of them. The first thing they did, they just, I through the phone just had to answer a bunch of questions about my general health. And then they sent me a blood pressure machine to monitor my blood pressure for, I don't know, a few days. And then I had to mail all that back. And then I went up to KU actually for 2 full days of testing. And the first time I walked in, and she was getting all the little vials out for my blood work, and I looked at her and I said, are you gonna fill all of those? She said, yes, I am. And so I'm like, well, I'm gonna count these and see how many there are. And there were 21 of them. And I was thinking, okay, well, that's pretty extensive. So I did all of that. And then I had an EKG at the same time, and I had a CT scan of my kidneys, and I had a chest x-ray. And then they had to do a urinalysis. And so that was pretty much all within those 2 days that I was at KU getting all of those done. Interesting kind of story though, along the line. Megan got taken off the transplant list right after I had been identified as a match, and her numbers were better. And so, there's always a cutoff. And so there was a cutoff that she was no longer able to be on the transplant list. And so it's like, oh man, gosh dang it, I thought we were getting somewhere. Well, then about 5-6 months later, she was put back on the list, but it had been a whole year since I had done all of the testing. So I got to do all that again. So all of those 21 vials and the EKG and all that stuff, I got to do all over again.
So you're double good,
Yeah.
being a match. I was just thinking about if I was in your shoes and had that opportunity, would I do that? But if I did, one of my questions would be long term. What happens, 50 years down the road? What takes place? I know there are a huge number of people that operate with one kidney, but that had to be a question you and your family had.
Right. And honestly, one thing that was kind of reassuring was in the whole process, they told me that if ever I would need a kidney, if ever the one I have would fail, I would be I would be at the top of the donation list. And so because I had been a donor, and so that was a little reassuring to know, because the statistics on how long you wait for a kidney is pretty long, and it's years. And so that was a little bit more reassuring, knowing that if something does happen to the one I have, that I could definitely be in the market for getting a donation myself. So
what do you have to do to convince your family? Because that's another big part of it. They're the one taking care of you. They get to live with you during the recovery time and et cetera. Was that hard to do?
it wasn't. My husband's super supportive and was just like, well, you might as well try and see if you're a match. I mean, it was kind of the same type of belief that if it was meant to happen, all the pieces would fall into place. And my two girls they are 18 and 14. And so they can really take care of themselves, which was a blessing. They actually took care of me while I was home. So that was really nice. They never questioned it with me. They never said, Mom, do you really think this is a good idea? They never said that. They might've been thinking it, I don't know, but they were, all of my family was really supportive.
Well, Shauna, it's good to talk about this. I want to talk about next steps for you and the people you meet and telling the story, because I know you've had a lot of input from others around. I want to take a quick break and come back. Our guest is Shauna Zweifel, who is with the school district in USD 49 Hayes Middle School, assistant principal. Back with more after this.
The most successful investors are those that can keep their emotions in check and take a longer-term view at what portfolios will be worth 3 to 5 years down the road. I'd say that's the most important in determining what investor outcomes are. Market corrections will continue in the future. We've seen many of them over the years, only to see equity prices rise higher, and that'll be the case in the future.
Worth Wealth Management, enhancing lives and strengthening families.
Welcome back to Forward Ever. We talk about leadership in challenging times. The person on our guest here today has been through that, donating a kidney, going through the whole process to do that. Shauna Zweifel is our guest. And Shauna, we talked about going into the break of, this is a big gift to give. Somebody would maybe call this, hero status to be able to do that. But certainly at the school district, you're a leader there as well. What are the next steps for you as follow-up now that you've been through this to tell others about it?
I think it's just, at first, I will tell you that people started contacting me for interviews, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this. And then I don't know if it was something that somebody said, but they were like, people need to hear good news. And it's like, you're right, they do. And then at the same time thinking, if somebody else considers it that hadn't considered it before, I mean, that's a win right there. So, I don't know that I will like publicly go out and say those things to people, but I definitely think if people are listening and hearing that story, it might give them a little bit of oomph that maybe they didn't have before, to just think, well, if she's doing so good afterwards, then I could go do this. So.
Well, that's the part of it that's cool. Even in a leadership standpoint for students, there's sometimes it seems in today's world that everybody just thinks about themselves, and whether it be on social media or otherwise. But the giving aspect of what you did with this is really a good lesson for not only the students that you're in front of, fellow teachers, but really those of us that listen to what you've talked about, to really make a difference in somebody else. It may not be a kidney, but make a difference in someone else's life.
Right. And I have to say that the middle schoolers were really pretty cute. A lot of times people shy away from working with middle schoolers because they are unique. But even before my surgery and even coming back, several of them would say, well, how are you feeling? Or if it was prior, good luck with your surgery, and so, I mean, it was a good feeling knowing that they recognized it and thinking, maybe that plants a seed for if they are in a situation at some point where, they could donate something, then maybe that will give them the decision, the reason to make that decision.
Did you ever think that you'd ever donate a kidney?
No, that was not on my radar of things to accomplish. I actually, when I was getting my blood taken one time, this lady said, that is one of my goals. It is one of my goals to donate a kidney. And I thought, wow, I'd never really thought about it before. So
I am with you, because you don't even think about that. But what you can think about are others that are around and how you can maybe help them. And we're doing the Christmas season here and being able to give back. And you're such a great example, an amazing leader, and in my book, a hero, especially to those that you have helped along the line, Megan specifically. But by telling your story, helping others learn to share and give back. Thanks so much.
you're welcome.
Our guest has been Shauna Zweifel, who is part of the Hayes School District. She's the Hayes Middle School assistant principal, but bigger than life as a kidney donor. So hope you take that story and share with somebody else and learn how to give back to others as well. Shauna, thanks for being here. Thank you for listening out here and being a part of our program. Forward Ever is brought to you by Worth Wealth Management, where you can live with confidence. I'm Gary Shorman.
Thanks for joining us for Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management. Join us right here next week for another episode with host Gary Shorman. Until then, remember to move forward ever, backward never.